You think your spending habits are bad? I just bought an Xbox One kiosk. If you're wondering why I bought an Xbox One kiosk, I'm wondering the same thing. No, I don't have a reason, I just really wanted one. It was kind of like the arcade machine. It was a bit of an impulse buy, if you can call an impulse buy something that you think about for like 6 months before actually pulling the trigger and doing it. But anyways, like the arcade machine, I had to get in an old ass SUV and drive to the other end of the state, in this case Bridgeport, to pick it up and bring it back home. So I did it. There she is. Yeah, it was a bit of a hike, had to go to the other end of the state with just basically a giant SUV and pick her up. Absolutely fantastic shape. There's a couple like dings and dents, but that's 100% common for these things. You have people playing with them. The back of it is not locked because they actually lost the key, which is a good thing. Well, it's not a good thing that they lost the key, but it's a good thing that it's not locked because that means I can get to all the components. This is where the dummy Xbox is. Down there is the power strip. And then, pro tip for anyone robbing a Best Buy, this is not a real console. These are never real consoles up top. They are always in a drawer underneath. Or if it's one of the tables, they're underneath the table. They are never, ever actually inside of here. Be way too easy to steal them. Don't try to steal a demo unit from a kiosk. It's not gonna work. Now, one thing that I learned when I was taking apart the arcade machine was that everything was deliberately designed to be taken apart and put back together as easily as possible for maintenance reasons. And I have a feeling that that's probably a constant across multiple arcade machines, or all of them. Because, I mean, that thing's 30 years old and it's still standing the test of time. Kiosks, on the other hand, kiosk manufacturers don't give a fuck. The amount of weird shit in that kiosk, well, take a look, let me show you. So you may remember I took apart an arcade machine and cleaned her all up, and that was a little bit different than this. This is obviously just meant for a store and then meant to be thrown away, and you can kind of tell because this little strip right here, I thought it was like a nice frosted green strip of plexiglass. No, it is quite literally, as you can see there, a piece of paper, a very thin piece of like inkjet paper, and like a clear plexiglass thing. So it's never meant to be taken apart, so you would never be able to tell, but it's just really funny that, you know, that's how they build these things because they don't expect anyone to actually like touch them. The lighting setup in this thing is weird. It goes from the logo to the Xbox logo, which is connected down to one side of the light panel, which is then daisy chained to the other side of the light panel, which instead of going down, daisy chains into the center, which is where the demo unit is, as opposed to just having like a straight line of lights. It's, I guess like I said before, since they weren't expecting anyone to take it apart, they were okay with just sort of doing a weird ass light setup like this. Did you know that the original Xbox One model was so massive that they couldn't get it to fit in the demo display? Instead, they actually had to cut the demo unit in half. Look at the terrible cutting marks. Now, this is strange. I removed the Xbox logo, which looks like that, and I got to see the entire uncropped version of the logo, where the sort of waves extend past the circle. How crazy is that? Also, the logo is only 50% green. The other side is blue, which is weird. You guys are probably curious about that, and I'll answer a couple of your questions that you most likely have. Why did I go with an Xbox One kiosk? Well, an Xbox One kiosk isn't as uncommon as you would think. There are still a very finite amount of these in existence, so it's obviously going to be more uncommon than finding like a Pac-Man machine, but there's still a good amount of them. So I don't feel too bad about gutting an Xbox One kiosk as opposed to something like a PS2 or GameCube kiosk and completely ripping out all the internals and replacing them. Something like this is relatively recent. Stores can still order Xbox One kiosks. I don't feel all too bad about this. And if you're genuinely worried about the amount of these in existence for preservation purposes, if you Google the company, you can actually find out that they made 11,000 different units for 13 different countries. There's more than enough of these to go around, and if you need even more proof of that, you can still buy leftover stock of these on Alibaba. So I'm currently on my way to the store. I'm just gonna go to Walmart to grab the spray paint and to see if I can find like the clear duct tape, if that exists. I don't exactly know what I'm looking for because I've never really been much of a painter. I've always been more of like the guy that does all the digital stuff. So I asked a couple people, and apparently I need primer for the paint to stick to, and then I need the coats, like the can of the actual paint that I need. Well, their spray paint selection here is kind of low, but this is the exact thing I need. So that's pretty cool. All right, masked off the base, the logo, the insides, and the back. Because why not? I'll keep the back green. I think it would look interesting. It's just up against the wall, so no one's really gonna see it. You will see like the green sort of peering out, like reflecting off the back of the wall, and I think that would look really cool and give it like an early 2000s aesthetic. So yeah. So I guess the next thing I need to do is apply the paint. All right. I've never spray painted anything in my life before, but I got some blue Rust-Oleum. Wish me luck. While I was letting that dry, I went ahead and hosed off the little plexiglass display cabinet where the dummy unit was, and I also took care of the TV. This used to be the television that was inside of my arcade machine before I swapped it with the monitor. This was the Polaroid, or it still is, the Polaroid flat screen. Now, why am I using this as opposed to a CRT? Because CRTs would cost about 10 times more than this to run. This is, you know, it's going to be a little pricey to run because it's LCD as opposed to LED, but I don't really care. It's not going to run 24/7. I didn't want to do a CRT because it would be a pain in the ass to hang as well, whereas there's already a spot for you to hang a wall mount for a TV. And before anyone shits on me for this not being period accurate, manufacture date May 24th, 2004. This absolutely would have been a television that was used on a kiosk back then, so yeah. When the blue air was completely dried, I went ahead and took my Dremel and dremeled out the Xbox One logo. Then I invited Chris over to apply the final touches of paint at the top.
All right, let's see it. Oh my god. Oh, that looks so clean.
Such a clean line.
Yeah, you did a pretty good job.
We then moved it downstairs. I installed the TV, the dummy PS2, which was just my second PS2 Slim that wasn't as functional as my first one, and lit it all up. It's starting to come together. So when it comes to putting the controllers, like actually mounting them onto the kiosk, there's a couple different ways I was gonna go about it, but I actually found a really effective one via One Bitter Kitten Gaming on Etsy, who 3D prints these little controller holders for the PlayStation 2 and 3, and probably PlayStation 1, because they're all the same shape and size. But look at that. It's like it's meant to be on there. And she was very nice to send me some adhesive strips to the back as well, and I'm thinking about just sticking them right onto here, so that way people can just pull them off and play. Alright, those are on there, and I think they look quite nice. I have the wire wrapped around the back. That way, if someone wants to come up and play it, they just have to do this and then just untangle it however far out they are, and then they can very easily rewrap it back up. Just place it right onto there. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm definitely going to follow through with these, maybe use some more permanent adhesive when I get that finished. I have a very, very early test while I wait for my sister to make the final version, but so far so good. I definitely like where this is going. Next, I had my sister Cricut out a PlayStation 2 logo on vinyl for me to apply to the top. This isn't actually the PS2 font. This is a recreation that I made. I couldn't find one that was high quality enough, but I think I got pretty damn close.